stakes all here today. The highest prize, not only ever in drifting worldwide, but in Irish motorsport also. No one has ever won an amount of money quite like that before, Eddie. That means it's going to be very tense as we head into this top 24 sudden death.
Yeah, it's going to be very, there's going to be a lot of nerves on the line here. And you know what? 8 spaces remaining in the top 16. We already know 8 of those drivers, the highest 8 qualifiers straight through. They don't need to battle. They don't need to worry about it. They're in the main show. But you know what? We have those remaining 9 to 24 drivers who have to battle their way through. And you know what? For me, Dave, it's a little bit more nerve-wracking going up against somebody who is, I suppose, maybe not the likes of the Dwayne McKeevers and the Mitch Larners for some of these guys, because the pressure's on then. These are guys that they can potentially beat, or they might be expected to normally beat. If you go up against the likes of Dwayne McKeever and you lose, so what? You've lost nothing. But if you go up against somebody else that's mid-pack, just like yourself, I think there's a little bit of an element of pressure then.
There is, and of course we don't know. I mean, looking at the grid here, there's no favourites right now. I mean, if you look at the 2 high qualifiers there, Dwayne McKeever and Mitch Larner, they can't meet until the final essentially. And on another note, I think there's a lot of drivers on the grid that we're going to start to see flourishing now as we go into these competitive battles. Remember, every single battle from this point on, you make one mistake, one error, you go home, you do not take home €20,000. That is incredible pressure. It's never been seen like that before. And it looks like we are ready to go to the line for the first battle in our top 24. I'm excited, Eddie. You're excited. The fans here at Mondello are excited. The sun is shining. Perfect conditions for once in Mondello Park. And Kevin Quinn against Kieran Casey will be the first battle of our top 24. Remember, each driver will take turn at lead and chase with the majority vote from the judges, giving them the win and the next stage of competition. Win this battle, you go to the top 16 event. Lose this battle, and when you're out of the show and you're watching from the sidelines.
Yeah, also win this battle, and guess who you're going up against? Highest qualifier, championship leader, and undefeated in 2018, Dwayne McKeever awaits the winner of the battle. You know what? Could we see Dwayne McKeever go out in the top 16? One of these drivers is going to have an opportunity to do just that and knock him out. Will it be Kevin Quinn? He will lead in because he is the higher qualifier. These guys don't qualify, Dave, in 16th and 17th respectively, so we'd expect this to be a tight and close battle throughout. One of these guys, though, is going to grab the bull by the horns and get another shot at €20,000.
Yeah, and of course, I'll put it this way. If you get the win here and you go and beat Dwayne McKeever, you're going to be on absolute high confidence at that point to think you can take the whole win. So maybe meeting, the big dogs early on and maybe getting one over on those guys could be the way to be confident in getting yourself into the top 16.
Well, can you imagine the pressure that you would feel if you were on the line in a final against Dwayne McKeever, having never been in a final before? If you were to beat him in the top 16, okay, it's just a top 16 battle against Dwayne McKeever. It's a different level of pressure.
Absolutely, and if you beat Dwayne McKeever, you go up against the winner of either Shane O'Sullivan and Sultan Ximi and Tomas Kiley. So it's no easy road for anybody here to the final. And it looks like Kevin Quinn may be having some issues with his car as he went to the burnout box there and had a lot of marshals around the car. Gets out of the car. I'm not sure what exactly has happened there, but looks like they're having some concern on that car. And the temperatures here having some stress on these machines, which generally run in miserable wet conditions here in Mondello, so no heat at all. I mean, of course, as Irish people, we can't function as human beings when it gets a little bit warm. Obviously, we have to well, one, we have to complain about how warm it is. That's the first thing you got to say. Yeah, standard, you got to complain about how warm it is. And then next week you can complain how much rain there is, and that's kind of how it runs. So today a lot of the drivers saying it's far too warm in the car, and then last round they were saying they're getting wet. And then
yeah, just a couple of months ago we were complaining about how much snow we had.
Yeah, we can't sit around because of snow. So, as you know, Ireland has the most extreme of weather conditions in the world.
Fact.
To the Irish people, but not to other people around the world, just Irish people. But it looks like Kevin Quinn having some issues with the car. Kieran Casey warming up that 180SX, and I'm not too sure exactly what's going on right now. Kevin Quinn looks like he's getting back in the car. There's a fire extinguisher in hand. So it looks like the marshals have pulled him up on a fluid leak with the car, saying that there may be some fluid from the car leaking out. They're down on the ground just making sure that car is 100%. The cooling systems in these cars under extreme pressure, Eddie, all day today, but not only today, for the last 2 days. So these cars have been running at high temperatures. Track temperature right now, 52 degrees on the ground, which means that's where that sticky rubber is being laid down, making the cars extremely grippy, and also meaning that very hard on the mechanical elements of the car, the diffs, the drivetrains, everything like that. Of course, in a normal race, you're sort of progressively driving through the course. In drifting, you go from a standing wheel that's on a handbrake to a full throttle wheel, and that element of grip can often break diffs, drive shafts, and put huge pressure on the car. So we are ready to see if Kevin Quinn is going to take to the line of marshals, just making sure that everything is is safe to continue, and of course that is the number one goal
yeah,
here.
of course we don't want him going out on circuit and causing a massive delay for the actual the round by spilling some oil or some fluids on the track, and then obviously having to clean that up. And
well, just another reminder of Kevin Quinn's year. He lost out on a podium at round 2 simply because they couldn't get one wheel nut off the car. It got welded, stuck onto the car. They couldn't get a wheel off the car. They hammered it, they axed it, they did everything, and they couldn't get a wheel off the car. That was how he got knocked out of round 2. So
yeah, so now he's making his way towards the line. Is he good? He's calling the 5-minute rule.
Yeah, so Marshall's saying that Quinn must go to the pits to fix whatever issue he has in that car. And yeah, impressive stuff. So Kevin Quinn, 5-minute rule called by Kevin Quinn. Of course, you only get one 5-minute rule from top 24 until top 8, meaning Kevin Quinn calls his right at the start. So he has no more 5-minute rules left unless he makes the top 4. So that's also going to be a bit of pressure for Kevin Quinn.
And he will also be deducted a championship point as well. So
yeah, so it looks like we'll move on to the next battle and get them lined up and ready to go. And Kevin Quinn will go into the pits. You can see our reporters here on the ground heading in after him to see exactly what is wrong. Kieran Casey will turn it around. Next up, here's an interesting one. One man from the United Arab Emirates and the other from Galway. That doesn't often happen too many times in sports.
No, certainly not. And Shane O'Sullivan, just missing out on his place in the top spot. He qualified in 9th position, Dave, and now having to battle his way into that top 16. But he's coming up against Sultan Al-Qasimi in this brand new E92 carbon Kevlar Eurofighter. An incredible build. And you know what? Sultan has been driving pretty flawlessly this weekend.
Absolutely, of course. Shane O'Sullivan welcoming a new baby boy yesterday morning, and Sultan is out in his new baby, the brand new E92 Eurofighter this weekend as well. So 2 guys that have never met in competition before, one representing the Middle East. He is the current Emirates Drift champion, going up against a man that is a previous UK champion and hunting down the IDC title this year. It is going to be a heavyweight contest to kick things off here. Shane O'Sullivan will be the highest qualifier, and he will lead them in. Shane O'Sullivan running over 600 horsepower, Sultan running over 612, 1300 horsepower, about to come over the hill here at Mondello at over 70 miles an hour. And remember, one mistake, one error, and you're going home, and you do not get a shot at that €20,000. Here we go, Shane O'Sullivan coming off the line.
In the Jap Speed S15, who is going to take it through a chance to meet Tomas Kiley in the top 16. But look at this big angle from Sultan Al-Qasimi as he throws it in behind Shane O'Sullivan, with Sully putting the foot down now and trying to pull a bit of a gap. Sultan right there with him as he turns the screw, dives down into the pocket. Now they switch it back onto the wall. Will we see another dive? We certainly will from Sultan Al-Qasimi, who starts to lose ground now. Scrubbed off too much speed, and Shane O'Sullivan throws it out towards the wall, transitions back. One final opportunity for Sultan to gain some proximity and try and bring himself back into the fight. And as they cross the line, Sultan doing his best to try and stay with Shane O'Sullivan, who looked very quick through the circuit, Dave, and carrying a very good line.
Yeah, another classic Galway UAE encounter here in Mondello Park. Crazy to see these guys. I mean, Sultan actually flying the car here. This car was a bare shell 40 days ago. Would you believe that? And this car now fully functional. But Shane O'Sullivan has a couple of errors around the track. So does Sultan, checking up a little bit there, as you can see in the replay. Getting caught on the inside of the roundabout quite a bit. But you know what? A steady run. Still a lot to play for in the second half of this battle.
Yeah, certainly this one not decided by any stretch of the imagination. And those 2 guys will be going back up to the start line, knowing that there's still something in it for them. And if one of them can come out and just, from Sultan's point of view, he has to just lay down that perfect run. You can see on our screens here the guys at Quinn Motorsport working hard trying to get this car
checked up. Yeah, Kevin Quinn's car leaking fluid or some sort of fuel from the car. They are now trying to figure out what exactly that problem is. There's about 8 to 10 guys under and above that car, making sure that he can get back out. He's on a 5-minute rule. The clock is ticking, so we will keep you up to date on that as well.
And you see Joe Doyle underneath the car.
3rd place qualifier, or 4th place qualifier, Joe Doyle, I think. He was right up there. He's on the ground under Kevin Quinn's car while he is not in his car ready for his battle. So it's all kicking off in the pits here at the prize fight for IDC Round 3. Brought to you by Link Engine Management. This time it will be Sultan Al-Qasimi representing Lunatics by Nature Monster Energy to lead in the Jap Speed private style driver of Shane O'Sullivan as they come through the chicane and go through the gears and up over the hill here into Mondello Park. Shane O'Sullivan is leaving a little bit of a gap here on Sultan Al-Qasimi, and Sultan Al-Qasimi going in very hot. Shane O'Sullivan having to play a little bit of catch up here.
Yeah, but Sultan sliding a little bit wide there through that first corner, and as O'Sullivan now starts to reel him in and gain that proximity back. What can Sultan do in the lead position here as they come in? Oh, big angle from Sultan. Can he keep it going? Losing 2 wheels off track, and certainly causing the disruption to Shane O'Sullivan's line. He's going to need to be perfect here for Sultan Al-Qasimi for the remainder of this run, otherwise he's going home. Because that big mistake, washes wide then through the final section, and I'm not sure if Sultan has done enough, Dave, over the 2 runs.
Yeah, well, judges want to have a look at this one very carefully, and it just depends on Shane O'Sullivan's first corner versus Sultan's mistake in the hairpin, or in the roundabout rather. Watch Shane O'Sullivan here on entry, comes in on big angle, but he has to straighten almost up, drop a wheel, gets back into the fight again as they are back to business, and so you can see Shane cutting the track to try and get some proximity on Sultan as they come through Link Engine Management corner. Now, as they transition this, where Sultan comes in way too fast, starts to lose the back end of that car, drops 2, almost 3 wheels off track, almost comes to a stop, and Shane O'Sullivan with no option just to follow him where he's going or mirror the lead car in that position. So interesting one there, and a couple of errors from both drivers, uncharacteristic maybe of Shane O'Sullivan having some errors throughout the course, maybe leaving Sultan a little bit of too much room at the start of the run. So with the unknown element of his opponent, maybe that was in his mind. But it looks like scores will drop in, and we will have a driver going through to our top 16 and one driver heading home to watch from the grandstand or around the circuit here and see who is going to fight out for 20 grand. Here we go. Slide him left for Al-Qasimi, slide him right for Shane O'Sullivan. Who's going through to the top 16? It's Shane O'Sullivan. Shane O'Sullivan gets the win and goes through to the top 16. Business as usual there. And guys, just a big error from Sultan probably cost him there.
Yeah, it really came down to the second run there with Sultan dropping 2 wheels between 7 and 8. Shane had it was about a 5-5 in the first run there. Shane was off clip 13. Sultan had proximity in places, but he did cut the track 78 again. So the error on the second run was really the big one.
So there you have it. He leaves the track. Sultan will be back for action later in the year. He reckons he'll come back for the final round of the Irish Drift Championship, get a little bit more seat time in that car. And for you guys in the British Drift Championship, you'll see him in 2 weeks in Driftland. So that car will be back out on display. Next up. So Kevin Quinn, with just seconds to spare, makes the 5-minute rule, and his car is fixed, and he heads back up to the line. Nervous moments there. There was a big panic in the pits.
Look, at the end of the day, you do not want to be going out to a mechanical failure just as you're about to start your top 24 battle. Kieran Casey, he's been waiting patiently, and a little bit more time for him just to run through his pre-run procedure. Make sure his head is in the game, and you can just see him warming tires there, just keeping himself distracted. A lot of time, or a lot of a long gap there between when they were due to go out first time and now getting ready for the actual run. So
yeah, you get yourself psyched up for the first run. You're ready to go, ready to jump into that sudden death, and all of a sudden you're waiting 10-15 minutes. You can throw a driver off, especially this heat sitting in the car. It's not easy in there. And here we go. It is going to be Kevin Quinn in the lead position, Kieran Casey in the chase position. We reset them. 5-minute rule used by Kevin Quinn. He has fixed that fluid leak, and now he's ready to attack that first corner.
Yeah, Kevin Quinn takes it through the chicane. Kieran Casey guns it straight beside him and then tucks in right behind Kevin Quinn as they launch through that first corner nicely now. But look at the gap that Kevin Quinn is pulling on Kieran Casey. Watches wide, Dave, 4 wheels off track, and into the sand trap goes Kieran Casey, and that will be the end of that run as the marshals' flags are out. And of course, obviously not safe for Kevin Quinn to drift the remainder of the circuit as this track goes back on itself. Well, and with the amount of smoke that's laid out, you wouldn't want any danger being caused to Kieran Casey.
Well, Kevin Quinn went on massive angle as he came back towards Link Engine Management corner, and I'm wondering, did that throw Kieran Casey's concentration away? Quinn did not drop off the circuit, but it almost looked like he was about to spin, and Casey, who come in very fast behind him, watch the angle here from Kevin Quinn, throws on big angle, looks like he might be spinning. I think Kieran Casey, maybe got in a little too hot, and base of action maybe thinking that he was going to go off, but did not.
You know what, for me, I think the gap was already quite significant, so I'm not sure that the judges will look at it as deem any responsibility on that to Kevin Quinn.
Yeah, well, it's a fine day for the beach, Eddie, and that's where Kieran Casey has found himself, out onto the beach, onto the sand. A couple of sand castles, buckets and spades, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, all the water has evaporated, though, so there's no cooling down for Kieran Casey.
No, and I think, the 10-0 automatically scored once Kieran Casey had gone off the track, so therefore the run from Kevin Quinn didn't matter after that point, so he was shut down. Kieran Casey heads back into the car to be recovered from the track. Shouldn't be a big recovery here. Just see how deep that gravel trap is, especially when you're running low splitters and bumpers. Hit almost like a snowplow when you go in there.
Yeah, look, the whole idea of it is to slow a car down so that you don't, eventually hit into a barrier at high speed. So just going to take a quick look at the replay here, just from a different angle, Dave, just to see exactly what occurred. You can just see the amount of smoke that Quinn coach hires S15 creates, and S13 rather.
Yeah, it looked to me like Kieran Casey thought Kevin Quinn was going to spin. He thought he was going to spin out. He thought he'd gone on too much angle and thought Quinn wasn't going to hold it and was going to come to a stop. That isn't what happened. And Kieran Casey looks at me when he dived through, said, I'm not too sure if I'm going to hit him here. And he sort of backed out of it. And Quinn upped and gone.
Yeah, I think Quinn, and you can just see there as well, not on the right line between clip 4 and 5. So may well have been the case that Casey just put off by the line of Quinn, which caused him. Guys, he goes by you in the grandstand. Round of applause.
So as you can see, Kevin Quinn and Kieran Casey. Guys, give Kieran Casey a round of applause. He's got to head back up to the line. He's got the second half of this battle to go. And he will have to go back into, I'm not sure if he's going to call a 5-minute rule, but he may be able to just continue as he is. But Kevin Quinn will definitely know from his spotters on the radio saying, Kev, you got a 10-0 advantage here. Don't do anything stupid. Get yourself into the top 16 where you will meet your good friend Dwayne McKeever. So Dwayne McKeever would be the opponent of Kevin Quinn, two guys who travel everywhere together, which of course have met in the past at the British Drift Championship in round 1, and Dwayne McKeever taking the win. So a little bit of revenge might be on the cards, but then there is still the second half of this battle, and with Kevin Quinn's car not 100%, anything could switch around here. We saw it yesterday, 10-0s getting overturned with other 10-0s.
But as well, if you look at it, Kevin Quinn is good friends with Dwayne McKeever, as you mentioned. He would relish the opportunity to come up against him, and I'm not sure if Kevin Quinn's the type of man that's going to feel too much pressure. I'm not sure if he'd be letting the €20,000 prize fund get in the way of him having a little bit of fun.
No, and he'd obviously
want personal with Dwayne McKeever.
No, he'd want to take down Dwayne McKeever at any possible point, even just for the point of having a good thing to say to Dwayne McKeever as they travel home that he beat him and knocked him out. So there's no love lost when it comes to competition, even though these guys are great friends behind the scene. But Kieran Casey is now back up onto the start line. He'll be in the lead position. He has a 10-0 against him, so all he can hope here is that Kevin Quinn makes a big error.
So he's just waiting, now getting called to the line from our Marshall Keane Droney.
Yeah, there you go. Kieran Casey is ready to rock and roll, and you can see the bonnet off the car. Temperatures starting to soar as they get to the second half run. And Kieran Casey released from the Marshalls, and away he goes. Coming through the gears, and Kevin Quinn is not giving him an inch here.
No, certainly not. Kevin Quinn tucks right in behind them, and they transition side by side as they head into Link Engine Corner. Look at this for proximity from Kevin Quinn. And no issues from either driver as they just put foot to floor. Now this is where it gets tight and technical. Two cars side by side. They've got to manage each other's lines here. And Kevin Quinn just keeping his distance, not trying anything too extreme and staying in this one. And Kieran Casey puts foot to floor, gets himself across the line, and a nice run there from both drivers. Give them a round of applause. Kevin Quinn, Kieran Casey. They get stopped by our Marshall as they await the result of the battle. Who's going to go through to the top 16?
Yeah,
who's going to face Dwayne McKeever?
I think this one might be a little bit obvious. Obviously, Kevin Quinn not making any major mistakes there in the chase position, even kept proximity to avoid an inactive chase. And Kieran Casey, I think that might be all she wrote. It is. Kevin Quinn goes through to the top 16 and becomes one of our 16 drivers that will fight it out for €20,000 today, and he did it the hard way. 5-minute rule though called. He will not have another 5-minute rule unless he makes it to the top 4, so pressure on there. Next up, Pete Nielsen and Brendan Stone, two huge characters in the Irish drift scene. Brendan Stone driving the Stone Motorsport GS300 Lexus, that is the drift taxi, almost a showpiece car, but now it's in drift competition today, up against Pete Nielsen, who will be driving his Drift Games 180 SX. Two guys who have met each other a few times in competition, most of those swinging towards Brendan. And let's see what happens. Can Pete overturn that? He comes in here as a small bit of an underdog in this one. And here we go. He's in the lead position.
Yeah, certainly doesn't have the horsepower to keep with Brendan Stone on a normal day. But look at this. Pete Nielsen as he just goes 90 degrees sideways through that first corner. Brendan Stone keeping with him nicely though in that Stone Motorsport. And they look at this though. Proximity from Brendan Stone. Keeping with Pete Nielsen. Pete Nielsen unable to shake him as they come into the teardrop. Nice line though, Dave, from Pete Nielsen.
Yeah, very technical outside line.
And he has to be in the underpowered car.
Oh, and he shuts
it down. I wonder, has the engine finally given up? Or can he get this car back going again? But I'd imagine a 0 on the hands.
That looked to me,
Pete Nielsen.
It looked like to me like a gearbox issue for Pete Nielsen. It looked like he was went into neutral there. You can hear the car rev out. So I would imagine that could be a gear change issue, maybe going from second to third. and I'm not too sure exactly what happened there, but he definitely shut it down as he came back around out of the teardrop, and Brendan Stone just really couldn't do anything behind him. I mean, at that point, Pete Nielsen was looking very strong in the run. Brendan Stone was right on his rear quarter, doing everything he could do, but just not having the pace in that big car to close the gap into the teardrop. But it's right about as they come out of this teardrop where things go wrong for Pete Nielsen. He starts to transition. Looks like he's trying to change gear there. Back up to third, and it doesn't happen. He goes into neutral. He probably jumps it into third, and then he tries to hit the handbrake, but he's at very low speed there to get it going again. So that will be a big deduction for Pete Nielsen. So anything
absolutely.
can happen.
Yeah, and he does head back up to the start line. So whatever it is, maybe it was driver error, but whatever issue he may be having, it looks as though he's confident in his ability just to run what he brung.
I think that's a gear change issue. I think that might have been a driver issue, just not getting the gear change right and having a little bit of trouble. Now, of course, a lot of cars on the grid now running these sequential gearboxes, but a lot of guys just doing the old-fashioned manual work themselves, and that can cause some issues, especially when you're transitioning a car on drift. You're trying to change gear at the same time. There's a lot going on there, and it's a very easy thing to do. Something you might do it right 60 times in a weekend, and it's the one time you need it to go right that it can go wrong. So Pete Nielsen will line up now in the chase position. Brendan Stone in the lead position. And can Brendan Stone finish the job here and get himself into the top 16, or will Pete Nielsen pull out a chase run out of the bag to try and get himself back into the fight?
Look at this aggression off the line from Pete Nielsen. Absolutely guns it ahead of Brendan Stone. Now he has to tuck back in, and the danger of losing some ground by employing that tactic. Can he stay with the former champion? Almost come together on transition. And Brendan Stone doing exactly what he needs to do in that lead position. Pete Nielsen getting all up in his business as they transition back now. Pete Nielsen doing a good job, Dave, keeping that proximity. His line not perfect, and some small little errors creeping in, but he
same issue again.
Shuts it down again, yeah.
Same issue again. That gear change has cost Pete Nielsen any sort of fight back into this competition. He was incredible on the transition on the way in. Clip 3 to 4, he almost made contact. Incredible stuff, guys. Round of applause for Brendan Stone and Pete Nielsen. Doing a good job out there on track. And we wait for the scores to come in from our judges to find out another top 16 competitor.
Yeah, millimeters between them as they transition back there. Who's going through though? Brendan Stone or Pete Nielsen? Slide them left for Brendan Stone. Kieran, Kevin and Dan all in favour of the Stone Motorsport driver. Brendan Stone progresses through to the top 16. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause though for Pete Nielsen.
Yeah, he sits there, he looks like he's under pressure, but I think, you know, without even going to the judges, we know 2 massive straightens and errors and shut down on drift ain't going to get you into the top 16. Alan O'Loughlin versus Tomas Falvey. Well, here's an interesting one. 2 guys making their way up from the Pro-Am class. Alan O'Loughlin currently in the Pro Rookie. He's a Pro Rookie this year, came up from the Pro-Am last year, and Tomas Falvey coming up for his first ever Pro Day. The dream continues. Can he chase down O'Loughlin?
A huge opportunity for both of these drivers to progress into the top 16 here as well, Dave. Who is going to take it though? Will it be Alan O'Loughlin? Will it be Falvey? Alan O'Loughlin probably more comfortable in the pro class, having that experience of a few rounds under his belt. This is the first time Tomas Falvey has ever seen a top 16, and losing some ground here on the Galway man as Alan O'Loughlin puts foot to floor, smokes up the Mondello Park circuit, tags the wall as he enters the teardrop, and Tomas Falvey just doesn't seem to have an answer right now.
Absolutely not, Eddie, as Alan O'Loughlin up and gone, tagging some walls on his way out. And Falvey, who looked so fast all weekend, looks like he is playing catch-up right throughout this run, and it looked like that issue came all the way from the start. I'm not sure what happened on the run-in, but Alan O'Loughlin got a big jump on him, and the chase car here, everything is weighed in his favour as they come through that chicane. So from that perspective, it's got to be a mistake from Tomas Falvey, letting Alan O'Loughlin get away that far on the first corner, which obviously isn't going to work.
Yeah, like just see Tomas. His rear wheel though came out of the car down the pit straight, and then not able to get out to that third clipping zone, and just from there there's no way back into the battle for him.
Yeah, I'm wondering, did Tomas Falvey's rear window blow out of the car? See, obviously now remember, what they do is they go, I'll put my windows down because that'll let the air into the car. But what that does is push all of that air straight to the back window of the car, which is obviously perspex in many cases, and therefore it just pops straight out. So maybe I wondered that the fright of the window coming out of the back of the car put Tomas Falvey off his line and off concentration. Whatever happened, he would have heard quite a bang, and then all of a sudden he had lost Alan O'Loughlin. So from that perspective, you can see advantage to O'Loughlin. It's not his issue what happens to Tomas Falvey's car. So as they return back to the line, bits of perspex and being removed from the track by our marshals. So a complete blowout of the back window on Tomas Falvey's car. It's amazing how it happens, because he's done this track like for 2 days straight and the window's fine, and then all of a sudden. So let's see if we can see a replay of exactly what happened. So can we see Tomas Falvi's?
I'm not sure if we'll get to see it from this particular angle. Oh,
There
it
we go.
goes.
You can see the window fly out of the back of Tomas Falvi's car and hit the concrete.
Yeah, well, it certainly wasn't the cause for the separation anyway, Dave.
No, it was not. I stand corrected. It was just a window happened to fall out of his car.
Yeah.
But at that point, he still was very behind.
Yeah, so look, he's got to hope for some, a big error here from Alan O'Loughlin, really, or else he is going home and won't be progressing through to the top 16.
Yeah, we switch him around now. Tomas Falvi will be in the lead position. Alan O'Loughlin will be the chase. Falvi knows here for a fact from his spotters that he is at a disadvantage, so therefore Alan O'Loughlin will be told on the radio from his spotter, you go on the door here, you're going to go into the top 16. That's as simple as it gets at this level. And O'Loughlin certainly try not to make the same mistakes as Falvi and let him get too far ahead, which he doesn't.
No, certainly not. Keeping that close proximity, but a little bit of a straightening there from O'Loughlin as he comes through that second clipping zone. Now looks to hunt down the door of Tomas Falvi. And Falvi doing a nice job in the lead position here, just sticking to his line, collecting those clips as he goes. And all he can do really, Dave, is hope for the best, hope that he puts in a strong qualifying line and that O'Loughlin makes an error in the chase position. But O'Loughlin at the moment looking like he is holding himself together, keeping his composure and getting safely across the line.
Yeah, very good run there from Alan O'Loughlin, doing enough to keep in the fight, but not enough to make an error. Guys, round of applause for Tomas Falvi and Alan O'Loughlin, two guys rising up through the ranks here at the Mondello Park prize fight. But we have to go to our judges for a decision of who is going to go through. And I would imagine this is another quite obvious decision, Eddie. It's going to be one of those that I think even the layman can even put together, which we are, of course, laymen here, and we're trying to figure this out for ourselves.
Yeah, look, I think it's going to come down to that first run. Who's going to go through, Tomas Falvi or Alan O'Loughlin? Kieran, Kevin and Dan, it's unanimous, Dave, all in favour of Alan O'Loughlin.
Alan O'Loughlin gets the win. It goes through to our top 16. Give him a big round of applause, guys. It will be, I think, one of his only top 16s that he's made it through. So a great day for him so far, and he's still in the fight for €20,000 later today. It will be handed out. Next up, Charlie Geary, Stuart Gilmore. Both of these drivers looking for a turn of pace and a change of luck this year. Geary and Gilmore both go into a battle where one of those will go into the top 16 and stay in the fight. One will be eliminated, and Charlie Geary giving away almost half the horsepower here in his BMW M3 estate. However, he is the higher qualifier, so will lead first. Gilmore, the pressure's on, 600 horsepower. What can he do? Can he get the job done and slide into the door of Charlie Geary's car to that first score? He certainly can't let him get away. The fight is on.
Yeah, neither of these two drivers looked overly confident in qualifying, but look, this can all change when it comes into battle. Bumper to bumper as they come down the stretch, but Geary starts to pull a little bit of gap as they come through the first corner. But the line from Gilmore is good here as he now starts to turn the screw and get that proximity on Charlie Geary as they switch it back. A wheel drop and obliterates the cone of Stuart Gilmore. Look at this, Dave, door to door. Oh, and he backs out.
Gilmore shuts it down.
In the teardrop and hands it to Charlie Geary.
Yeah, Stuart Gilmore there shutting it down. Might have been a gearbox issue, might have been a shaft or a diff issue. We've seen it happen as they go on to that new tarmac section.
Yeah, we've
very
just talked
grippy
about
there.
how they, completely slow the cars down and then get straight back on the power, and it caused a lot of problems for that rear end. And unfortunately for Gilmore, certainly looks as though that is a mechanical issue. And
not sure exactly what happened. It looked like Gilmore had, left Geary a bit of room at the start. Geary looked strong, and then all of a sudden Gilmore used that horsepower and grip to get himself back into it. Geary sort of cutting across the track a little bit, but right here, Stuart Gilmore's right in the fight. He even has to delay his transition as he drops the wheel off the track, and then he dives in here, comes back on the clutch again. It looks like, not much happening on the rear end of Stuart Gilmore's car when he went to go back on the power, so that could be the issue.
so very unfortunate scenes for Stuart Gilmore.
Yeah, let's see what Stuart Gilmore, for me, Stuart Gilmore has been very consistent throughout the event. He's been very impressive. Oh, and there you have it. Stuart Gilmore retiring from the competition with gearbox issues. We'll go down to the trackside with Neil there. Neil, what went wrong?
Thanks, Dave. Just here with Stuart Gilmore. Stuart looked to be going very well, but unfortunately, something mechanicals after breaking in your car.
Yeah, broke the gearbox.
Very much a massive clutch kick there over at clip 8. I'd say that's probably what did it, was it?
Yeah, definitely. Too ignorant.
Too ignorant, he says, Dave. Back to you in the tower. Thanks very much, and best of luck for the next round.
Thanks, Neil. So, gearbox issues. Guys, Stuart Gilmore, give him a round of applause there. Obviously very dejected, not getting the car This is a hard day on cars. Hard day on cars.
It certainly is, and of course, as we mentioned, Dave, that track's so grippy. 3 days of rubber after being laid down on this Mondello circuit, and when those guys have to slow down, they kick in the clutch, and just putting all that power into these components, the rear end of the car, and unfortunately, they do break.
I have this image of a race. Of the race cars coming here now during the week and trying to break in under the bridge and someone going straight through the windscreen of a car. There's that much grip laid on the surface. Huge amount of tires laid down, and of course with those sticky conditions out there, the grip levels in these cars, it's that instant off the throttle, on the throttle that seems to be breaking a lot of cars. It means that obviously the tire stays and everything else moves. So a gearbox or drive shaft or prop is incredible to try and make any machine withstand that kind of punishment. So Stuart Gilmore will be covered from the track. Another driver not competing, so it is going to be another pass to the top 16 for
Charlie Geary.
I was just about to say, Charlie Geary's having a pretty good day so far. I mean, he had a struggle at the start of qualifying. Good second qualifying.
I think he was a little bit tired this morning and didn't have the best first qualifying run, but he pulled it out of the bag, got himself into the show. Now he's into the top 16. He is going to be going up against the Thunder from down under, Mitch Larner, and that promises to have fireworks because two guys that'll be giving it everything, and Charlie Geary would like nothing more than to be the one that stops Mitch Larner from taking the streak here this weekend, Dave.
Absolutely. Oh, and just as Neil Dunn interviews Stuart Gilmore, Neil Dunn's car is on the start line, and it looked like there may be an issue with that car as well, as Alan Hines is calling a 5-minute rule. And it just seems that the heat and the temperatures here are starting to pay.
You have to remember, Dave, these cars have been on the go since 9 o'clock on Friday morning. They have put down lap after lap in these very, very warm conditions, and a lot of strain being put on these engines and these components inside the cars. And unfortunately, I think mechanical difficulties could be the story of the afternoon. Could it be that it's the deciding factor in the final battle? We hope not.
Yeah, so we move on to our next battle. It will be
Paul Conlon to take on Dean Martin.
Well, here's a man that's been at the top level of this game for over 12 years, Paul Conlon, in his S15 link engine management, 650 horsepower. He goes up against a man who's in his first ever year in the pro class, Dean Martin from RD in County Louth, and Dean Martin would love to put one over on a veteran here straight away and announce himself. He's had some mechanical issues at round 1 and 2, but right now he's looking very comfortable on that Mondello circuit. I think he's going to lay it down here, and he has nothing in the chase position. He knows Conlon's fast. If you're not with Conlon, there's too much smoke to even know where you are, so you've got to stay with him.
Yeah, that's it. But you know what? Paul Conlon has looked like a new driver here this weekend, and very slow down the straight. What's going on here, Dave?
I'm not sure what's going on, unless
An
we're
issue for Paul Conlon as he heads off track into the pits.
Dean Martin, not sure exactly what to do there. An issue with Paul Conlon's car, maybe. Now, this is unprecedented. And
So-
Conlon, is he calling the final? He's already activated the run there, so it is a. Not too sure exactly.
Yeah,
You
we
see
just
one of our
wait to hear
marshals
from our
running down
marshals
the
just
track.
to see exactly what is going on. Did something happen on the run-in?
I'm not sure. We've got a lot of marshals making a lot of moves here. Did something just
yes.
broke? Did something break on the track as
Yeah,
they came
look,
up?
it certainly looks as though something kicked up.
Watch the bottom of Paul Conlon's car.
There you go.
His exhaust comes loose off the car, and there was pieces flying down the track. Look, bits of the exhaust firing off the back of the car. Incredible. Well, our marshals are in very hot conditions, doing a lot of work out there today.
Yeah, earning their bread. And you can't say it's predictable, Dave, by any stretch of the imagination.
Absolutely not. You can see Dean Martin going up to wonder what exactly is going on. I couldn't initiate into the first corner, Paul Conlon.
So
we're
hearing that it could be a prop shaft issue as opposed to an exhaust issue. Obviously, we can only see something trailing from under the car. Very hard to tell whether or not that is an exhaust or a prop shaft. But hearing from our marshals, prop shaft, and that just giving up the ghost at the worst possible time, Dave.
Yeah, well, if it is a prop shaft failure, then I don't think we're going to see Paul Conlon back out here for action. If it's an exhaust issue, then it looks like they could just get that car, patched up and back out for action. But very, very difficult to understand now where we're in a situation where most drivers aren't actually getting to actually even get a run in. The cars are giving up on them left, right, and centre.
I mean, could this be the easiest, top 16?
There's 20,000 on the line. We could see anybody get to the final here.
But for Dean Martin, he might not even have to get past the first corner in order to get to the top 16, Dave.
No, and not the way he would have wanted to win, of course, not the way any of these guys want to win, but it's almost a case of survival now, Eddie, not just who's the better driver.
But from Dean Martin's point of view, if Paul Conlon retires from the competition, He doesn't have to put his car through 2 runs of the circuit. He's into the main stage. He's into the top 16 parade.
And he goes up against Mark McBurney, which you'll fancy his chances.
Yeah, he'd certainly, in terms of comparability, he wouldn't, go into that battle with as much fear as maybe the likes of coming up against some of the more seasoned pros.
Absolutely not. As we can see, some of our top 16 drivers now making their way.
That being said, Mark McBurney did qualify in 3rd position this morning.
No rollover there whatsoever, but a lot of our top 16 drivers are already making their way up. So Paul Conlon retires from the competition with a prop shaft failure, exploding as he came off the line, and Dean Martin will take the win and go through to the top 16. I'm starting to get the feeling, Eddie, that anything's going to happen here today. I start getting the feeling that we could be in for a very unpredictable couple of hours here of who is actually going to win this.
Yeah, it's shaping up to be that way. And look, you can see on your monitors that
Alan Hines has an issue.
Is being pushed back, and we know he's already called a 5-minute rule against Danny O'Callaghan.
Now remember, of course, his 5-minute rule is starting when he gets back to his pit area, so they're trying to recover that car from where it is now. But geez, I mean, from my perspective, I cannot believe these cars are just giving up the ghost. I mean, especially after 2 days of driving, right now when you need it, the cars are dramatically failing. We've had a gearbox, a prop shaft, half shaft, all in the space of a couple of runs. That's very interesting. With Dean Martin, will take it when he gets them. Not what he wanted, but a little bit of luck on his side as he heads to the top 16 in that bright yellow BMW.
Yeah, look, he's not going to always get it that easy, Dave, but certainly take it when it comes your way. We got to move on though to our next battle and our final top 24 battle. It's a real battle of David versus Goliath. Brian Egan is going to be taking on David Hobbs. David Hobbs really up against their 202.5 brake horsepower.
0.5 matters.
It certainly does, especially when you had 198 last season.
Exactly. So David Hobbs had the lowest horsepower car last year, changed the engine out of the car, and came back with the lowest horsepower car this year as well. So he's gone from a 4-cylinder to a V8, but he goes up against Brian Egan, who's in the lead position. Brian Egan will definitely have the pace on him here, but Brian has been making some errors, especially in the second qualifying run. Nervy moments for both drivers, and again, on a day like today, anything can happen.
Yeah, Brian Egan just needs to keep his composure here, just set down a good lead line here, because he knows he'll have the pace. And yeah, you can just see the difference, a kick of dust from Hobbs as he drops a wheel at 3rd clipping zone. But look at the line for Brian Egan, Dave. He is on it right now, and I think he can sense blood here as Brian Egan drops into the teardrop section of the track, looking very confident out there. But it's the second half of this battle that really interests me, because it's going to be Brian Egan has put himself out of competition in the past by being overly aggressive. And what is he going to do when he has to chase down that slower car of David Hobbs?
Well, I mean, obviously Brian Egan's going to have the pace on the first run. There's no surprises there. He just had to make no mistakes. But here's where it gets interesting, Eddie, to advance on your point. Brian Egan is going to have to chase a slower car. And it's not aggression that I would be more worried about if I was Brian Egan. It's breaking his car, because he's got a much grippier setup. He cannot adjust the car to make it looser or less grip between the battles.
I think the sensible option here for Brian Egan, the right approach to take, is to allow that gap on the main straight and just claw it back and gain that proximity over the final few clips, because I think that would be enough to bring him through to the top 16. What approach will he take though?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with Brian Egan now, if he stays very close to David Hobbs, and he has to do a lot of clutch work and a lot of holding the car, look at that on the camera. Hey, twisted in half prop shaft. That is incredible. It's like an ice cream cone. I've never seen anything quite like that before. Look at that as he came off the line. The prop shaft absolutely exploding on the back of his car on both ends.
I'm not sure what type of ice cream cones you eat, Dave, but
after picking them up off the ground, obviously. To be fair now, I was trying to be relevant to the sunshine, Eddie. You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to keep it. You know, there's a lot of people with ice creams here. I think Paul Conlon will definitely be having an ice cream and probably a beer after that, because that is so unfortunate.
Yeah, especially when you consider the form that he was on, and not the way he would have wanted to end the competition. But we have them back on the line. Brian Egan is going to chase in David Hobbs.
Yeah, Hobbs has got the less horsepower, but he's on his own line now. He's essentially out on the track.
And this is where he can be fluid.
Yes. And of course, our marshal's now checking with all of the cars, saying that they're, and again, I'm not sure if there's an issue now for Brian Egan's car. Again, it's a lot of the stuff seems to be cooling or fluid in a lot of the cars, and again, they're boiling up there on the start line while they're idling. So they're having a check on that car to make sure that it is A-OK. He will take the advantage, I'd imagine, from the first run, but again, you got to get your car over the finish line here. We can see David Hobbs win the whole thing because his car doesn't overheat or break diffs or shafts. Anything could happen, and it doesn't matter about the weather or the grip. It's still going to be €20,000 for someone at the end of today. So yeah, Brian Egan having an issue with the car. It looks like he will have to call a 5-minute rule. Can you imagine every car out there? The temperatures are absolutely killing these competitive machines, and that could happen to any driver on the grid. Remember, you can talk about your favorites. You can talk about, oh, look, it looks like maybe there's an exhaust or something hanging off the bottom of the car. That may be the issue.
But look, we saw it yesterday. Lee Scott unable to complete the round, and he had to retire from competition. So nobody is immune to mechanical difficulties.
Well, that's the thing. It's not going to be about just being the best driver today. It's about who can survive. And we could see a complete outsider take 20,000 here today and just make history because they survived it. And I mean, I'm looking through that grid saying there's a lot of high horsepower cars with a lot of grip and a lot of highly tuned engines. Any bit of spike in temperature or any issues they have, the longer they go in this, Eddie, the more runs they're doing, and they're closer together because they're getting closer up the bracket. So it's going to be a real fit for survival for you guys in Mondello. We want to thank you guys for coming out to watch. Why wouldn't you? Weather is amazing here in Mondello. It'd be nice if we saw some cars not braking for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So it is pretty crazy to think that we are going to have a lot of guys going through. And again, we have Alan Hines in the pits. He's on a 5-minute rule trying to get his car back out for action, which is just incredible to think that we've had so many non-contests here in the top 24. So we just want to remind you guys, while we wait for, this is the last battle, of course, in our top 24. While we wait, we are going to tell you all about Punchestown and drifting returning to Punchestown for the first time in 6 years. And it is going to be this August. Tickets go on sale tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. There is just 1,800 grandstand tickets, a full grandstand over the circuit in Punchestown. And there is only 500 discounted early bird tickets, which will obviously save you guys some money. It is in Punchestown, it's in August, and if you want to know what it's all about, well, it's not just about drifting, it's about everything automotive. Check this out.
On August 11th and 12th, the Irish Motor Festival touches down in Punchestown Racecourse, County Kildare. Celebrating all things motoring, the festival brings exotic cars, modified cars, and classic cars together under one roof, alongside the thrill of the Irish Drift Championship. Not only that, but there'll be plenty of trade and food stalls to make your way around, as well as drift car passenger rides, live entertainment, and lots more for the whole family to enjoy. Discounted early bird tickets and general admission tickets are on sale 9 a.m. Monday. Grandstand tickets are limited, so head on over to www.irishmotorfestival.com for all further event information.
So we're back live here. You can see with Brian Egan's car on its 5-minute rule. We are in the pits. I think the pit camera is going to be busy today, Eddie, as they are now fixing something on that car. Have we got confirmation on what exactly is wrong with the car? So the exhaust has come loose on the car. Track manager is saying it needs to be, it will be dragging essentially on the car, on the ground the whole way around.
Well, hopefully the Delta team will be able to get that back up and secured into position.
And I think we can see a lot of this today. I mean, the guys are under severe pressure. So are the mechanics and the people behind the scenes, though, Eddie, which is something that we often forget about, that you have to go out there and obviously perform, but there's a good 10 or 15 guys behind the scenes.
You can see on your screens just where that exhaust lies. But yeah, as you say, Dave, you know, it's a team sport, and you know, while the drivers claim the glory, there's great teams and families in the background working tirelessly just to keep these guys motivated and keep them out on track.
You know, I've just had a thought about there. That exhaust is off the car at the moment, right? Imagine the heat of that exhaust after doing a full run before. So that exhaust, obviously, or maybe they're removing the exhaust from the car.
Certainly not easy to work with.
Oh, maybe they are removing the car, the exhaust completely. That looks like what they're going to do. That is going to hamper the performance of that car as they drop it back down onto the ground. They're removing the exhaust completely from the car. So this thing could sound very different when it comes back out for the second run. Thumbs up from the team that they've removed that exhaust section. This probably will hamper horsepower, but he is not in a horsepower fight just yet with David Hobbs. He takes the advantage after the first run, and now they are waiting to release that car for the second run and see if it is possible to compete. Of course, our scrutineers will check the car, make sure everything's okay. Yeah, it looks like he's moving away from his pit area. Guys, round of applause for the teams behind the scenes getting these cars fixed. You go in a quick fit and they do an exhaust for you there in about 3 hours. Here it takes about 3.5 minutes. So, you know, you're being overcharged. That's all I'm saying. You're just being a little bit overcharged.
Well, now they haven't fitted an exhaust, so let's...
Well, they took it off.
But yeah, look, the team working really well there just to get Brian Egan out on track. You know, from Brian Egan's point of view, he's put in a flawless lead run, and then to go back to the line, and if he was to lose out just because of you know, an exhaust coming loose, how heartbreaking would that be?
Well,
Brian Egan will be coming into this round feeling like he has a real shot at taking home that €20,000.
Absolutely.
He's on the opposite side of the bracket to Dwayne McKeever. Could only meet McKeever in the final. He can only meet Larner in the final 4 if he was to qualify into the top 16. So very interesting for Brian. Brian can be very unlucky at times meeting these guys quite early on, which can hamper his chances.
But
of
I think
progression.
today it's a different story. I think today you want to meet them early on because you don't want to get right. Imagine you get to the final and you've half a chance of winning 20,000 euro, you lose. You'd rather go up against a big dog and feel confident after that you've beaten someone very good. I think there's a little bit of mind games going on the grid of people saying there's no guarantees, and I think, I'm telling you right now, this mechanical issue that these guys are having with the heat, you can see how hot it is on the tarmac out there. That is going to play dividend right throughout the day. We could see a mechanical failure even decide one of the big drivers going out of the competition. We could see it.
Yeah, let's not say those words.
Obviously, if I say it, then at least we won't happen.
Yeah.
Every time I say something's going to happen, it never happens.
So almost ready.
Okay, so we have Brian Egan ready to go. We've Alan Hines also beating the 5-minute rule. So we will see 2 more battles here in the top 24, and we finish off the next one, which is David Hobbs leading out Brian Egan. Brian Egan taking advantage from the first run, but now he's got no exhaust on the car. It's not going to be running 100%, but he's going to try and get that fixed before the top 16. Here we go.
Yeah, Hobbs to lead him in. Brian Egan right on the back bumper as they throw it through the first corner. Nice line there from Brian Egan as Hobbs just gets a tiny bit wide of those white markers. But now, as Brian Egan, David Hobbs dropping a couple of wheels, washing wide, gets caught in the beach. And Brian Egan just backs out, allows him a little bit of room just to get back on circuit and get back in this. And a couple of wheels and a spin off the track for David Hobbs. Hands victory to Brian Egan.
Brian Egan will take that one and be happy that it turned out the way he wanted it, but David Hobbs making 2 major errors there.
Yeah, Brian Egan's had his fair share of bad luck in the past, and you know what? I think he'll gladly take a little bit of that good luck with him into the top 16.
For sure, and I think today is all about luck. Slide him left for Hobbs, slide him right for Brian Egan. I think this one will be fairly obvious from our judges. And Brian Egan goes through to the top 16. Another driver, 1 in 16. Well, now at the moment there is 18 drivers remaining that can win 20,000 euro, and 2 on the line will go up against that for the last spot in the top 16. So Alan Hines, Danny O'Callaghan. Alan Hines, who impressed incredibly well in his own car here in round 1. Now he's in a borrowed car from Neil Dunn. Issues with that car. Danny O'Callaghan, most of the car removed now to overheating issues on that car. Who will survive this from this point on? I am not quite sure.
Yeah, survival of the fittest here in Mondello Park, and Alan Hines looks set to go. Danny O'Callaghan, how impressive has he looked in this car this weekend? Alan, as the higher qualifier, will lead them in though. He goes through the chicane, and down the stretch they come. They're slamming it through the gears. Bit of a gap opens up. Can O'Callaghan get on the door through transition? He certainly can. Look at this as he fires.
Look at Danny O'Callaghan on the rear quarter of Alan Hines' car as he now starts to reel in Alan Hines here, and Danny O'Callaghan definitely knows Alan Hines has got that chase driver ability. He's got to make a big dive here.
Oh, a big angle, and O'Callaghan has to back out of it, Dave.
Alan Hines just surviving enough here as he takes it back to the wall in a borrowed car from Neil Dunn, and Danny O'Callaghan losing huge amounts of ground, Eddie, and it doesn't look like he has issues again.
Yeah, big issues with that car, definitely, Dave, and unfortunately for Danny O'Callaghan, that run just not panning out the way he would have hoped.
Not whatsoever.
Just see here, though. Look at the entries of both these guys. So aggressive. And the proximity as they come to the third clipping zone. Door to door. O'Callaghan backs out, allows Alan to transition, and then it gets right back in it as they come around by Link engine management corner. Pops and bangs, and then just this is where it gets all wrong for O'Callaghan. Piles on that big angle, and it just...
That looks like a steering issue to me. It looks like he went in and the steering just locked up on him when he tried to get into that horseshoe area. And yeah, this track now is becoming incredibly demanding out there. So Danny O'Callaghan and Alan Hines return back up to the start line for the second half of this battle, and Alan Hines so they are returning back up to the line here, and our marshals are making sure that they are A-OK to compete. Now Danny O'Callaghan will know he's had some errors there. I'm wondering, is it a mechanical issue or was it a steering issue? If it's something that he's willing to drive through, or it's something he needs to get repaired. But it is not a fun time up there on the grid. I think a lot of guys looking left and right saying, will my car hold up for the next couple of hours? That is the big question. So Danny O'Callaghan caused 5 minutes steering issues with his car, and Eddie, it just continues to be a very stop-start top 24, but a lot of these drivers not making it through even a run of the track without something going wrong in the car.
Problem after problem for these drivers, unfortunately, Dave, and hopefully this won't be the story of the weekend. Hopefully this will be the end of it after the top 24, and we can have a clean top 16, because we want to see these guys go out and battle each other for those spots and just fight tooth and nail all the way through. But one spot remains, and an opportunity to go up against Paul McCarthy in the top 16 for the winner of this battle. Alan Hines called a 5-minute rule before the battle starts. Now Danny O'Callaghan, after that first run with steering issues, calls a 5-minute rule, and hopefully he'll be able to get that car and that issue resolved and get back out
here's
on track.
an even more interesting thing, Ed. We were just having a word with our track manager there. Think about it this way: Brian Egan called a 5-minute rule. He has no 5-minute rules left until top 4. Alan Hines has no top 5-minute rules left until top 4. Like all of these drivers are going to have a very breakneck couple of minutes, because they're going into a top 16, and the guys who are in the top 16 are going to have a 5-minute rule available. So if there is a mechanical issue or anything happens, a D-bead or a puncture, they're going to be immediately out of competition, meaning this is going to rattle through very fast for the top 16. And the pressure these guys are under is also exceptional. I mean, these guys aren't professional race drivers. These are just normal guys, like every single person here.
Yeah, it's back to work for the 9 to 5 on Monday morning. And
every single person here at Mondello Park just doing a normal job. These are exactly the same as you. They work, though, and they put all of their time and effort into these cars. And all of those parts and all those things they've spent a lot of money on. I mean, the things that are breaking on these cars, that's a week's wages, just gone instantly. And we look at it like, oh, the car broke, whatever. But it's a week's wages gone every time they call for a 5-minute rule or something breaks on the car. I mean, we were picking up tail lights recently at the Friday practice, and we were like, there's probably like €3,000 worth of tail lights just on the track. Like that's the damage these guys are doing, and they're not doing it to waste money. They're doing it to go out there and be the best. So you can see Danny O'Callaghan is in the pits. He's in the garage trying to get something fixed. It looked like a steering issue or something like that to me. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Maybe power steering fluid boiling in the car is another issue. A lot of transitions on that track, and it might have just failed on him when he came in there. And again, he's at a disadvantage to Alan Hines at this point. And also a big shout out to the guys that, when you go into the pits and they stand around in the background watching.
The lads.
And they look like they know what's going on, but they don't really know what's going on. They're just kind of going, yeah, fix it there, lads. Thought that myself. So they're just working on it. You can see the guys from the North of Ireland Quins M Sport and all the guys, Stephen Fitzgerald and stuff, getting in under the car to make sure they can try and get that car fixed and ready to go. I'm not exactly sure what is the issue. It could be steering, it could be power. I'm not sure.
Just see
it's a belt. It looks like it looks like a power steering belt maybe being put back on the car. So yeah, when your power steering belt fails, when you go down to your local mechanic and he goes, oh yeah, maybe 3 days, maybe 2 days, we have to get parts.
500 or €600.
Yeah, well, what you should do is break your car here in Mondello and then send it into the Quins M Sport team, and they'll just fix it in 3 minutes.
Just put an IDC sticker over across the window of the sun
and just
visor.
out of habit, they'll just fix your car for you. That's kind of how it works. But they are trying to put a belt on a car in a 5-minute rule here. This is incredible. I mean, even to attempt it, it would take me 5 minutes to get the belt out of the packet.
But you said it about Brian Egan's exhaust. Just imagine the heat off that engine, and there's bare skin going in there. Just no concern for their own safety, their own health. And these guys are just they do anything just to get people back out on the track.
Absolutely, and our clock ticks down on Danny O'Callaghan. Can he get that car? Of course, remember, the clock stops when he moves away from his pit area. If he's unable to move away from his pit area, he will forfeit the battle to Alan Hines. That is where we're at right now, and Dunleary was a very interesting round with cars breaking, and we had issues we've never had with guys. Mike Fitzgerald hit a lamp post. We had Paul McCarthy's wheel come off the car completely and he ramped over it. We had stuff we've never seen before, and you can't say it's not dramatic.
We certainly can't. You had on a line ready to go out in battle against Dwayne McKeever, Mitch Larner blowing an engine in his car just in the burnout box. So look, this isn't the way we want to go through the competition, especially with a €20,000 prize fund up for grabs. We want to see these guys really earn it, really battle hard against each other, and we obviously want to see some action out on track. But unfortunately at the moment, Dave,
But I mean, if you look at it the way we're looking, well, I was just looking at the battle sheet. Our top 16 is just stacked. Dwayne McKeever goes up against Kevin Quinn, two good friends. They'll be going hard, especially in that battle. Tomas Kiley and Shane O'Sullivan.
That's going to be a really interesting one.
Joe Doyle goes up against Brendan Stone. That's another big one. Chris Burnett against Alan O'Loughlin. Imagine one of those guys going through to the top 8. They'll be delighted with that. Mitch Larner goes up against Charlie Geary. And you know what? You could say, Mitch Larner will win that. Charlie Geary's beaten Dai Yoshihari and Alex Helber. He's beaten more FD drivers than anyone else in IDC. Paul McCarthy is waiting for the winner of this battle. Mark McBurney and Dean Martin, that's a real underdog battle, and they'll go into top 8. And then Mike Fitz goes up against Brian Egan in the last battle. Some big battles coming up there.
Yeah, some really big battles. And you know what? What I like about it is there are some guys that are new to the Pro Championship going up against each other. Dean Martin, Mark McBurney. McBurney in his second year of pro competition. Dean Martin in his pro rookie season. And one of those guys, a great opportunity, guaranteed a spot in the Grade 8 for one of them. Similar, Chris Burnett and Alan O'Loughlin, both drivers relatively new to the Pro Series, and one of them's going to be going through. Brian Egan and Mike Fitz, those two guys have battled it out in the past, and they will be looking at that battle as one where they both really need to push hard to try and take down the other driver.
Absolutely, and of course when we finish up the top 24 for you guys in attendance, me and Eddie are going to make our way down towards the grandstand. We're going to be giving out a hell of a lot of free t-shirts, some Mobil 1 hats. We're going to give a huge Mobil 1 giveaway, and you know what, we might even take the Mobil 1 Mustang for a rip around the track, even though I've done no practice whatsoever. I'm a little bit intimidated of all the walls, but we'll see how we go. We'll get some people in the passenger seat. We're going to have a bit of fun before we go to top 16. Give back to you guys in the grandstand and around the fences here in Mondello Park, and the clock stays ticking on Danny O'Callaghan. Not sure if he's going to make this one.
And I presume it's me you're taking for a passenger spin, Dave?
Not a hope.
No?
I get to sit beside you all day. I don't want to sit beside you anymore.
I don't ever get to sit inside the Mustang.
You wouldn't see, no offense, Ed, but I don't think that seat is so low in that car. I don't think anyone even 6 foot can see over the dashboard.
It's the height of ignorance. Now Danny O'Callaghan back in his car.
Yeah, there he is. He gets into his car. Sort of like a 1970s rally driver sort of look, Danny O'Callaghan there. I like that. Old school. And you can see there that they are just looking. It looks like the panic has stopped, but he is getting ready to see if that car is ready to go. And they're telling him not to start it just yet.
I wonder just how much time is left on the clock here.
Yeah, and a lot of onlookers there wondering, will that car be ready to compete again? Alan Hines, of course, will be waiting at the start line for a very long time now, waiting to see if he has an opponent.
A few t-shirts off in the background there. Sun's out, guns out here in Mondello Park.
Absolutely. And we don't suggest you taking your shirts off, but it seems to just happen anyway at drift events.
Yeah, we're opposed to
tan lines.
To nudity.
To farmers' tans. It's a day for the farmers' tans here in Mondello Park.
Exactly.
Okay, so it looks like we have an issue here. The car is on, and they're just checking to see if everything is okay, giving it a rev. Is that car ready to go? It looks like it is ready to go. Look at that, a fan belt or a power steering belt changed in 4 minutes for Danny O'Callaghan.
And the team get it together.
Guys, give him a round of applause. I think it's nearly more entertaining watching the guys try to fix things in 4 minutes. Imagine the efficiency you'd have in a garage if you had 4 minutes to fix every single thing that came in the door.
It's a question of how long will it last, though, when it leaves is the problem.
That's true. So we are ready to go for our last battle. Remember, after this, for you guys in the live stream, we are back later on with top 16 action. It's the main event, 16 guys, one winner, €20,000, winner takes all. And with the way things are going today, I would not like to be a bookie on this one because it is anyone's game.
Yeah, it can go absolutely anywhere. We are almost set to go. Danny O'Callaghan, well, he's at a disadvantage, but do you know what? You just couldn't make any sort of a prediction. There's no way you can just say that Alan Hines has this one in the bag, because Alan Hines has already called his own 5-minute rule, and that car not running perfectly. The borrowed car, of course, from Neil Dunn, which, Dave, he has never driven before qualifying this morning. Didn't even get a couple of practice laps, just went straight into qualifying. This will only be the 4th run of the track that Alan Hines has done in this particular car.
And what an achievement if he did make it through to the top 16 in a borrowed car he never drove before qualifying. That goes to show that practice counts for nothing unless it's online and on the virtual simulator, because that's where he's been practicing all week. And it looks like Daniel Callan is making his way back up to the line. We will finish out this top 24 with the last run between Alan Hines and Daniel Callan. After that point, me and Eddie are going to head down to the grandstand, have a chat with you guys, get everybody pumped up for the top 16. That's what we came to see this weekend. That's the main event. 16 guys are all going to go to absolute war for this €20,000 check. And we've got a really big check down there that we can show you guys that it is going to be a big fight and see who takes it home. Life-changing amount of money, but not only that, a streak on the line with Mitch Larner and a lot of the guys on the grid not even ever winning a round of the Irish Drift Championship. It's all happening later this evening as we get through the last of a very sketchy top 24 where a majority of the cars have broken down, which is not exactly what we wanted to see. So Callahan, you can see it there, that fan belt is working. I mean, obviously everything seems to be okay. Daniel Callahan leads the line. Alan Hines in the chase position. Here we go. Alan Hines, of course, in a borrowed car. How aggressive will he be?
Very aggressive. It looks as though, Dave, as they fire through the first corner, but Alan starts to lose a little bit of ground here, and he needs to just pull the socks up a little bit, get himself back into this one, get back on the fast pedal, and try and gain some proximity and bring the fight to Daniel Callahan here as Danny throws it down, big angle onto the wall, and nice through that section. Alan Hines, though, as you say, has that advantage from the first run, just doing enough to keep himself in it here. Now starts to turn the screw and gains that proximity just through the final sections of the circuit as they cross the line. Mondello Park in a cloud of smoke. Give them a round of applause. Alan Hines and Danny O'Callaghan, both drivers battling adversity to try and take a spot into the top 16 where Paul McCarthy awaits the winner.
Yeah, it's going to be a decision made by the judges now. It's the last one of the top 24. Slide him left for O'Callaghan, right for Hines. And there you have it. Alan Hines gets the win and goes through to the top 16, meaning we have 16 drivers remaining in the competition. They started at 80, they're now down to 16. And that means we are going to take a small break to talk to you guys in the grandstand, get this place hyped in Mondello, and then we are ready to go to our top 16 main event. We're going to see you guys trackside in a few moments. For the people in attendance, for you guys at home, we're back with battle action later on. Who's going to take it? €20,000 on the line. We're back soon.